What's up, guys? My muscle connection number 38. Just me and Dibs today. Been gone for a couple weeks. Had a vacation. I'm back now. Kind of glad to be back. I was gone a little too long. Was nice to go to the mainland though. They kind of handle our current situation a little different, and I like it. And I'll just touch on it real quick because I think people can learn from this. But even the places where they had certain rules. It's like if you wanted to follow them, you could. If you didn't, you didn't have to. And the people that did and people that didn't were not fighting about it. And I was like, this is great. Why can't everybody else do this? So it was, nobody discriminated against each other over who wanted to follow the rules and who didn't. And it was a good time. Kind of wish I'd have seen some snow. It snowed right after I left, but whatever. Florida was awesome. Like we were just talking, there were some good gyms down there.
Where'd you go in Florida? What part?
I went Tampa, Kissimmee, Orlando, those areas. I would definitely not object to moving down there permanently. I could easily see myself doing well down there. So I'm thinking about it. I got to get a plan together. But if I could find a gym like Kissimmee Muscle Gym and work there as a trainer, I would totally do it in a heartbeat. I would go down there.
Yeah, that's the one thing where Matt and I are considering where we want to stay here in Hawaii. Just we love Hawaii, but Florida has got so much fucking potential. So many. The city of Jacksonville itself is the island of Hawaii, of Oahu.
Yeah,
it's got the same population. So there's going to be clients for everybody. There's clients for you, there's clients for me. There's going to be a client. There's a million people in there. We'll find people that want to work out with you.
Yeah, that's I think that's where my next destination is going to be. I was pretty convinced. The first time I went down, I was kind of iffy, but the second time when I went back, the last few days before I flew out, I went in and just kind of stayed on my own and wandered around a little bit. And I was like, oh, I could totally fucking do this. I like this a lot. I think the second time I went down there, I enjoyed it a lot more just because I had gotten the initial ice breaking out of the way. I went back to the gym again, and the second time I went to the gym, it was awesome. Everybody was really cool. So,
and there's freedom there. You see people's faces, man. It's weird seeing people's faces and shit. Like this is
that gym
is fucking crazy. They're going back to lockdown in Hawaii again. They're indoors, like it's getting out of hand. And I think as much as I love living here. What's scary is that, Amanda and I are planning a wedding next year. And the first thing on our mind is what are going to be the COVID restrictions? That's a year and a half away. And we're worried about COVID restrictions. That just tells us that we're so brainwashed that this shit's not going to be going away.
Yeah. I think Florida was the only place I ever got a compliment on an InfoWars shirt that I had on. I had on an InfoWars shirt, and this guy came up. He was like, man, I like that shirt. And I was like, that's usually I catch shit, but thanks. So, it was fun, but I'm glad to be back in the groove. I'm still trying to get back into it, but we're good to go. Speaking of today, it's January 8th. So we can still talk about New Year's resolutions. I really haven't seen a surge in it this year. And I think because being in Hawaii, and people still being scared of all this shit going on. I think that's one of the reasons why. Because, with this new variant coming out, even though it's not that lethal, everybody's catching it. So because the numbers look big, I think everybody's kind of going in a corner when really everybody I've known that's caught it is not that big a fucking deal. So I think that has something to do with it. Even at IHF, as popular as that gym is, we're not really seeing a huge surge. But it's not a corporate gym, so we really don't see that. We really don't see like the corporate New Year's resoluters come in there. If anything, the trainers will get those people. But I'm always on the fence about this New Year's resolution thing because I have seen it both ways. I've seen people do it and come in and stick with it, even though it's an extremely small percentage. And a lot of people come in, get on it, realize what's going on. And within that 2-month period, they kind of start talking themselves out of, well, I really didn't need it that bad or whatever. And then they fall back and they disappear by like March. So what do you think about that, Dave? You've been in this industry for a while, so I know you got an opinion on it.
I love New Year's resolutions. I'm a big fan of them. I think that, you look over the course of a year, there's something about you that you need to fix or something that you can improve on. And what I think about New Year's resolutions is that it shouldn't be something that should be something that is a huge change. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to make a huge change overnight. Whenever I do New Year's resolutions, it is a very small new habit I can start that's going to positively impact my life. And I have a 66% success rate because I started this 3 years ago. And I've so far I've kept up with both of them. 2019, and then going to 2020's New Year's resolution, 2021, I did not follow. Now I'm on 2022. So my 2020 New Year's resolution was I'm going to start flossing. I don't floss, dude. That's like a man thing. Like, I don't floss. I don't eat vegetables. I don't go to therapists. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I'm a macho dude. Like, what the fuck? But with the dentist, and he's like, yo, you got to start flossing. And I'm like, oh, okay, bro. And he's like, no. And I'm spitting out blood at the dentist thing. He's like, no, I brush twice a day, but I never floss. Yeah. And he's like, yeah. So I'm like, you know what? And this is right around December. I was like, you know what? New Year's, I'm going to floss. I have been flossing every day for 3 years. And it's just a tiny little habit. 2021, I said, I'm going to read for 20 minutes every day. I'm going to read a book for 20 minutes a day. That literally lasted 3 weeks, not even. And I just really don't like reading. It's just like, you know, I like to listen to audiobooks. I like to watch it on YouTube. I can do that for hours. But since I was 6 years old, I did not like to read. So I tried that New Year's resolution, did it for 2 months, and I was like, fell right off. This year, another New Year's resolution. I'm going to clean the sink. I'm going to sweep every night and clean the table off every single day. So I started this 3 weeks ago, and I've been doing it every single night. But it's just minor habits, you know, just tiny little things that you can do. And once you get to the habit, it's hard, you know, it's hard to break.
That is the best way I've ever heard of looking at this resolution thing, because I think one of the big problems of it is people pick humongous changes and they get into the hype and build up all this pressure, and sometimes it causes them to crack. When it's something small like that, I mean, like flossing, it's small, but it can make a huge difference in the long run. Right. That is legit. I mean, because there's no excuse for why you cannot do that. And that's pretty good. I'm trying to think if I had any. I would say if I had any, I started it fucking months ago when we started doing this, and I started taking different routes about acquiring knowledge as a trainer and stuff like that. I recently started reading, but that was before New Year's. And I count audiobooks, by the way, because sometimes I can put on audio and drive and I can get it. Like Deal with the Devil, I did that on audiobook, which I think is more entertaining when you hear somebody impersonating the voices and stuff on that one. It's a lot.
Oh, man. That is, anybody listen to that, friggin' Outwitting the Devil is one of the greatest audiobooks. That'd be like Joe Rogan interviewing the devil. Like, yeah, imagine Satan coming on Joe Rogan's show and Joe Rogan asking questions. That's exactly what it is. And I'm telling you, that is, for people listening, that is 100% life-changing book. And it's written 100 years ago and it's still effective today. You know what I mean? It's still like the principles are still here.
Yeah. So but sometimes at night, because of having trouble sleeping, I'll get off the computer and read for a half hour or an hour on an actual book. Like when I'm on that flying back, I read like half of one, Prometheus Rising, which is very entertaining on how your brain is wired. That's what it talks about. It talks about a lot of stuff, but when you read that one, you see certain things this guy talks about, and you look at what state we're in today, and you're like, somebody knew exactly how to pull this off. And this is knowledge that people know, that because in order to pull off some of the shit they pulled off, and since I've been alive, they would have had to know some of the stuff in this book. And you guys, it sounds weird, but when you read it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like, it will jump out. You'll see it. It's, but I'm not all the way through it yet. Another one, where is it? Art of the Deal. And I just wanted to see what that one was about. And,
what was that book about?
That's Trump in 87, just talking about how he got all his real estate deals and built his Trump Tower and his buildings. And you read it, it's like just kind of boring, but at the same time, I can't stop reading it. And I'm like, what am I getting out of this? And a lot of stuff he did, I don't know. It seems like a lot of stuff he did was really hard to pull off. Like getting these huge building deals and stuff without even he would do it to where he wouldn't even have to put down money because he would get banks to agree on it and stuff. And you just look at how he's like, dude, this guy went through hoops. Like, it almost shows that if you want something, you can do whatever you want if you work hard enough. Is one of the messages I got from it.
He invented the didn't Donald Trump invent the that ice skating rink, the one that's always frozen or whatever like that? It's in New York City. It's you can go in the middle of summertime and go ice skating.
I don't know. Right now I'm in the part where he already built the tower, the Trump Tower that has like, I think if you get it's like one of the only buildings where if you have room, you have 3 different views in the room, because the way the building's designed, you have 3 windows that go to 3 different directions in New York City or Manhattan. And he's I think I'm at the part now where he's trying to build the casino, and he's trying to go through all the loopholes to get that. And you read it, and it's, for me, it's not, I wouldn't tell somebody it's entertaining, but at the same time, I can't stop reading it when I pick it up. But then I'm learning, like, you know, he appointed the first female to oversee a skyscraping project ever. He did a lot of things, and you just see that, I don't know, you get to know him kind of more personal level, but you also realize that this guy did a lot of stuff that probably a lot of people could not have done, because he just found ways to do it. And it's interesting. I'm almost done with it, but regardless of what you think about the guy, you can read that and have to get some respect for this guy as a fucking hard worker. So, I mean, he works his ass off, and he went, you know, a step above where his father was at as far as the, you know, housing and real estate and stuff like that. But,
so what do you think about people who fuck up their New Year's resolutions? Like, why do you think people do them? They have this crazy New Year's resolution. A lot of it is a fitness. I think fitness is like the most popular one. Yeah. But they always seem to fall off.
I think for reasons that, well, I'll say maybe it's because the reason they jump on, because it is popular and it is kind of like the cool thing to do. So people will pick that because a lot of people do. And, you know, it's one of those things that people kind of want, but when they see what it takes to do it, they kind of, like I said earlier, they kind of convince themselves, well, you know, I don't need it that bad or something. I mean, they quit for the same reasons anybody quits that sets the goal to start with. But I think a lot more people jump on board that time of year because it's a very faddish thing to do, is to jump on and say, you know, new me, I'm going to get in shape and all this. And, you know, then maybe they did it because everybody else did, and they really don't have that trigger point that makes them stick to it. But it does seem to be, these past couple of years, I haven't seen it. But when I first got into this, it was very faddish to jump on that bandwagon at the first of the year. And we all know how fads are. Like, a lot of people fall off. So I think that's one of the main reasons.
I think the 2 reasons people fall off is that they don't have a destined time in which they plan on having their goal set by. They'll set the goal, but if you don't set a time and when it's going to be completed, then you're just going to you give yourself forever to do it. And then it's easy to fall off. You say, hey, I'm going to lose, you know, realistically, I'm going to lose 20 pounds in 8 weeks, you know, and you set a goal 8 weeks from now to be, you know, you're 250, you're going to be 220. You know, you're going to monitor and push yourself so you reach that goal at that specific time. And then once you get there, you know, set another goal where, all right, I'm going to lose another 15 pounds, or all right, I'm going to put on some muscle now, or I'm going to learn to weight lift, you know, next 8 weeks. So when you don't set that goal, that date, you just kind of just go through the motions until you forget about it, because there's nothing small, achievable, little ladder that you climb up. I actually posted that meme the other day. You know, I had a little guy with a little bunch of ladders, and the other guy had like 3 little rungs on the ladder. But, you know, small achievable goals will get you to the top. So I think that's where people really fall off on it. And I also think that they don't have their why as well. I think that's the thing. You know, I'm going to get toned. All right, do some fucking tricep push downs, man. Like, what do you mean you want to get toned?
Why do you want to get toned? Like, that's the thing, where people don't dig deeper. They go, why do I want to get toned? Or why? Well, I want to get my butt bigger. Okay, well, why do you want to do that? It's not just because. I mean, there's something like either a guy looked at your juicy ass fucking friend and picked her over you, or some dude doesn't flip you over when you go have sex. Something is triggering that and is triggering your self-esteem. And there's a reason why you're focusing on just your ass at that point.
And those are good reasons.
Yeah.
If you're like, look, man, like, I'm going out, my friend gets all the attention because she's got a fat ass, and you want a freaking fat ass. Hey, you know what? That to me is a good reason. Set a fucking goal, get and do the work, and then make it a habit. And I think that's what it comes down to. We talked about this 100 times, positive habits. But if your goal is like you just said, if your goal is I just want a big back. Why? I don't know. But if you want a big back because you fucking you're made fun of in high school for being fucking small and you're skinny. And you're a grown up now and you're fucking small and skinny and you still reminisce it. That's a pretty good reason.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong. I don't really give a shit what the reason is, as long as it keeps you on track. And if it's because somebody banged your friend over you and that pisses you off, cool. If that's what it takes to reach your goal and to keep that in your head, that is perfectly fine. I'd rather do that than one of the biggest things I fucking cannot stand is when I ask somebody something, they say, I don't know. Do you know how many times I have somebody I'm working with and they'll arbitrarily do something without telling me. And then I'll find out and I'll be like, okay, well, let's fix this. Now, why did you do that? I don't know. Well, if you don't fucking know, why did you do it? If you don't know the outcome, you don't know the result, you don't know how it works on your body, you don't know if it's going to hurt you or harm you towards your goal, why the fuck did you do it? It doesn't make sense.
That's what 4-year-olds do. Why'd you do this? I don't know.
Yeah. And I'd be like, you know who does know? I know. So why are you going around doing all this shit and not talking to me about it first? I can't, that still doesn't compute. Like, I'm going to do this. Why? I don't know. Okay. Well, you probably shouldn't do it till you get that reason, because this doesn't make any sense. I don't understand that. And they either really don't know or they have an idea in their head and they know they're wrong and they're afraid to say it. And I would rather them just say it, because I'm like, okay, this is why this is wrong. And this is what you need to do instead. And then that route, even though they kind of feel shitty when we poke holes in it and I fix it and I tell them the real reason how things work, they're most likely not going to do anything like that again. So it's just, but there was a period where I was hearing that a lot from a couple of people. And I saw it as like, guys, this isn't, you have to have reasons. Like you can't, you gotta stop doing that. And, how do I say it? When people don't know to be more structured or get rest in between sets, they'll just keep go. And I'm like, dude, leave the army outside, come the fuck in here. Like, stop doing that shit.
Yeah.
Cause it's a lot of military, because they're taught just go, don't ask questions, don't find reasons, just go do it. And I'm like, you to a certain extent, that's okay, but you do need to learn some stuff and you need to fucking slow it down a little bit so you don't do this wrong. So,
I think that to not worry about how long something will take, like always set those goals, weekly goals, daily goals, monthly goals, yearly goals, are important, but to not really be concerned, oh my God, this may take a year for me to get. What the fuck was? I'm sorry, I just heard some weird ass sound coming out. All right, don't worry how long it'll take to get to where you're trying to get to. People are more worried about like, oh my God, that'll take a year. Let me tell you something. It took me 2 years to get 4 seconds, maybe 30 seconds worth of fucking glory. So let's talk about, I did the Nashville Pro, right? So 2019, I came in last and I came in 30th at my 2 pro shows. This year I came in 4th, right? My first one, 4th, 7th, and 7th, right? Which is pretty good for an IFBB level. I'm hanging up there now with fucking top dogs. So to 2020, I had to sacrifice so much. I was in a absolutely miserable relationship I really couldn't get out of. I knew I was going to get out when I came to Hawaii, but I was kind of stuck in it. I was sneaking the gyms. I was driving an hour and a half a day to go work out, then drive an hour and a half back every day. Well, I work out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then I work out Tuesday and Wednesday. And then after work, I would drive an hour and a half to Georgia, because I had to drive from Jacksonville to Georgia to go train. It was the only gym that was open during COVID, right? I mean, I made those sacrifices. And when we were in Norfolk, I used to walk 2 miles in the fucking rain, by the way, in the rain.
I've been there. I know.
You know what I mean? Just to go work out for an hour and then walk back. Torrential downpour. But I knew that the sacrifices were going to pay off eventually. I didn't know when. I just said, it's going to pay off. It's going to pay off. And I kept that on my mind because I didn't know when, but I stayed consistent. I came out here to Hawaii, stayed consistent, prepped the show, trained, gave up. I gave up my whole life in Jacksonville. You know what I mean? I had a lot of great friends there. I had my other coach that was there. He was training me. You know, he was upset to see me leave, but I knew in order for me to get where I wanted to go, I had to come over here. So I came over here, you know, late 2020, early 2021. And, you know, that's where everything started to pay off. That's when I got out of this toxic relationship. And now I met my girlfriend who's now my fiance. I fucking, I got fourth in a pro show. The guy that did better than me went to Olympia twice. The guy that beat me by a few points went to Olympia. You know, I'm being compared next to Olympians now. So you have to understand that the hard work over time, it's going to pay off eventually. Maybe not at first. You may have to bite the bullet a few times, but it will come off. So when the new year hits and you got these crazy goals, you may not hit the home run first time. This may take you a couple fucking swings.
Hey, you know, that's I think my life story is probably a perfect example of that because I've been doing this shit. Why not? Like, I can't. It's like if I change goals right now, I can't go through all this shit for another goal. I got to stick with this one to the point to where like I think that's the lesson I've learned last year. When you talking about walking in Norfolk, man, when I first had to lose all that weight to join the Navy, I would walk 2 or 3 miles and go work out, and I would run back. And I did that all the time. And I mean, sometimes it could rain, snow, because it's in Boone, North Carolina. Like when somebody says it's uphill both ways, they are talking about Boone, fucking North Carolina. It legitimately is uphill. No matter which direction you're going to hit a steep hill, a mountain somewhere. And sometimes mentally, I have to take myself back to those days when stuff gets rough. You used to not have a car, bro. You used to have to walk. And going a workout for you would take so long because the walks just took like an hour to get there and back. And, you know, it's like you've done shit harder than this, you know. And, about when somebody comes to me with a New Year's resolution, I'm interested in how long have they had this goal and why do they wait till now?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I think because – and sometimes it's legit. It's like, hey, I've had kids. We've moved around a lot and stuff. And I got here like November. So I was like, we're going to get settled down and have the holidays with the family. New Year's, I'm going. That's legit. No problem. I'm not going to give you shit. Let's get started. But if you've been sitting on your ass for 4 years and then you're like, well, if it's New Year's, I'll go do it now. I'm like, okay, well, what held you back those other 4 years? And is that going to happen this time? That's something I'm interested in because if you had all this time to get that done, if you needed that, if you wanted it that bad, you wouldn't have waited so long to get started. I wouldn't think. So what kept you back? And do we need to conquer that problem first so it doesn't hold you back again?
Yeah, some people may realize they need a change in their life. Like for me, I was I posted my 10-year challenge yesterday. You saw that little fucking chubby kid. Yeah, that little chubby kid though, you know, if I showed you my workout program back then, way more intense. But that's because I would run. I remember writing it. I actually screenshot it. I'll post it later. It said easy 9-mile run. That was it. It said easy. I wrote easy 9-mile run today. It's going to be about an hour and a half. But I would run probably 30, 40 miles a week easily. Swim 2-3 miles a week easily. Right. The guy on the left doesn't look better, but by endurance, I was fucking Forrest Gump. I could literally have ran forever. Then I was chubby then. In 2014, though, that's when I started getting fat. I saw my metabolism drop. I was now 25-ish. So that little 22-year-old, little kind of chubby, kind of skinny little 22-year-old, now I'm 25. And I'm like, oh shit. Hey, you know what? I think it's time to make a change. That's when I started learning about bodybuilding. And man, you know, I was doing the dumbest shit. I mean, I always did was I watched Pumping Iron. I thought fucking Lee Haney was still fucking, or I think it was like 2015. I thought Ronnie Coleman was still fucking Mr. Olympia. You know, I don't know. I don't know anything, man. Like, who's Mr. Olympia? I don't know. Lee Haney, Ronnie Coleman, Arnold. Is he still Mr. Olympia? Like, it's such an occultic sport, you know. And there was no YouTube. You know what I mean? You know, YouTube was just starting. I think
magazines were still big.
Yeah. And I know that's when bodybuilding.com had the fucking reins. So I'm over here. This is what I was doing. I was I was 25. I said, I'm going to start bodybuilding, right? Everybody tried to talk me out of it. Everybody said, you're too old. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, I want to start doing this. But I didn't know anything. So I did the Jay Cutler, was my very first workout was Jay Cutler Shortcut to Size program. And it was,
I remember that.
Yeah, it was 2014. Our ship was in the yards. So I had to get up in order for me to go work out. I had to get up at 2:30 in the morning. I would drink a cup of Super Pump. I didn't eat breakfast because, you know what I mean? Like I wanted to burn fat by lifting weights, which is a stupid fucking idea, by the way. Don't train fasted. I tell anyone, don't lift weights fasted. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Right? Go to the gym. And I was the only person in the gym, but I didn't know it was an old person's gym, dude. So it was one of those gyms where old people worked out. So I didn't know no one was in there at fucking 3:30 in the morning. And then I'd go to work. And I remember I'd eat so much bacon because bacon had protein and fat. And I don't know quality of protein. I just thought protein's protein. You know what I mean? No.
Yeah.
So I did this shit so fucking backwards, dude. I got so fat. And then once I got to Hawaii, I was like, all right, I need something. Bodybuilding.com is not helping me. And I don't really like bodybuilding.com anyway. Not to sit here and talk shit about it, but I almost feel as if you can, you know, as long as you're a certified, you can write, you get, you know, shit in a bottle, piss in the shit piss diet, you know, make it flashy, put on bodybuilding.com. Someone's going to do it, you know, but maybe not anymore. You know, now that we've got YouTube, but I say YouTube, bro, is probably, I think, the greatest thing of our generation.
Yeah.
Hands down. Yeah. The amount of knowledge, the shit you can learn that's being passed on YouTube, you could find that shit in 2012.
You should see the podcast I listened to on Spotify driving through Florida, and that led me to buying these books when I got home, and I'm going through them and just nitpicking information and shit. That it's insane. I got caught in the rabbit hole with bodybuilding podcasts, I think on Spotify, and I watched the YouTube videos too because they do YouTube, but it's easier to drive and listen to Spotify. And yeah, you can get. I was like, dude, just the information I got today has blown me the fuck away. Because they'll talk about everything, no holds barred, like people that have fucked themselves up off the stuff, and they'll come in and be like, don't do this and this. I studied this, and doctors are talking about it. And it's like, why did I not look at this shit before? You know? So it's the access to information is a lot better. All we had back then were magazines. I remember I should probably do some videos on the shit I did where I fucked up a lot. But there was a lot I also learned from like Muscle Fitness Flex magazines and stuff. It was generic, but it was enough to get the ball rolling. Because, I mean, when I joined the Navy, I dropped, goddamn, dude, I went from 250, 260, like 185 pounds in just a few months. Wow. The recruiter was like, fuck, dude, when can you leave? I was like, let's go tomorrow. I was out. I was in fucking Chicago getting yelled at, shaking at the airport, and the fucking notes. And you know, when you first land, they're fucking yelling at you as soon as you get off the plane.
Oh, fuck, a boot camp, dude. Like, I remember it snowed. And I thought, man, they're going to make a shovel like snow. As soon as we get there, they're going to make a shovel for an hour. Like, they got to. And then I'm laying there. I'm like, why are we shoveling? Like, why? Like, I don't know why. I thought that's the first thing we're going to do is shovel snow for the whole night.
Dude, it was like, I know that when I got there, the initial, like, you're up for fucking 2 days and you're watching the Why Did I Do This video. That's what we used to call it on the bus when you're riding to fucking Great Lakes. Yeah. Dude, I'll never fucking forget that shit, man. Those words that, you know, I try to use that as an analogy to contest prep, because once you go through that, and because when you get out of boot camp or you go to the fleet, which seems to take, for some point, you think the fleet's a myth because you never get there, but you go and you look back and you're like, you know, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And then you get out of the military and you see people that whine about little shit and you're like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, I tell people, when you get through contest prep and somebody's whining because Starbucks forgot their pumpkin spice flavoring, you're like, dude, shut the fuck up. I was drinking hot water and shit and black coffee for fucking 16 weeks. Like, shut up. It's there's a lot of similarities in those two when I think about it.
But I was, my first night at boot camp, they were telling you what kind of sneakers to get. So you had to step. Did you have that? You had to step on the machine.
Yeah. Right? I had the ones for flat foot people.
Right. The guy said cushioning. Right. I had no idea what the fuck cushioning meant, and he said write it down. I'm like, cushioning. What the fuck is cushioning? So I tell you, I'll never forget this. I wrote Quishing. Quishing.
They ate you alive too, didn't they?
What the fuck is Quishing? That's what he said. I had no idea what the fuck. I will never forget how fucking dumb I felt that night. Cushioning. Like, what the fuck's?
Did you have utilities when you were in?
Yeah, utilities.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I had those. I was ironing people's shit for razor blades because I only bought like 2 razor blades because I thought we were going to go back, and I had to use those. They made me shave twice a day because my shit would grow back halfway through the day. So I was having to like iron people's utilities at night for razor. Like I was in fucking prison doing that shit to get razor blades so I could shave for the whole 8 weeks we were there. Shit.
Institutionalized. That's
Man.
what we get. Institutionalized.
I'm
not looking forward to go back to a ship. I got 1 tour left before I retire. I did 10 years of sea duty, man. Like that's a lot of time to be. I did 10 years of sea duty, and I actually calculated I've got 2.8 years of my life actually in the ocean. Like the months I spent out at sea, 2 10-month deployments and all the workups, it was like 2.8 years I have been in the middle of the ocean. That's why I don't tell people I take those 2 years off. So I'm 34. I'm actually 31. I don't tell people I'm that. I took those 2 years off.
Do you ever figure out like how many port calls or Steel Beach picnics you got in that 2.8 years and if it actually balances out?
Absolutely. And that's something I tell people, like you deal with a lot of bullshit in the military, but like, and I used to complain when I was younger because I was like, man, I didn't go to college. And I want to go to college. I want to go to dorm parties and all that stuff. But like now hindsight's always 2020. Like, man, I fucking partied in Israel, Norway, Spain, Greece, like these countries. You're only there for 3 days. But those 3 days you're there feels like an eternity, because, time is really a myth. So those 3 days you were there felt like you were there forever. I was like, hey, you remember those trips? Dude, you remember Spain? You remember Israel? And you got these memories forever. So when I was younger, I was more to the partying realm. And then in 2000, my last deployment, 2018, I was deployed for a year. And what I really did was I went to the gym, every gym, and I tried to make their biggest, baddest dude to throw up with one of Mike's leg days. That was my goal. I go there the day 1, meet people, hang out. Day 2, hey, day 3, hey, you want to train? And they're like, oh, yeah, okay. There's not many IFBB pros, believe it or not, in like Norway and Israel. Yeah. So when they hear you're a pro, they want to come pick your brain. It's like, hey, let's train together. And now we're all friends on Facebook. And,
Hey, if I had went to the ship when I first got in, I would have gotten arrested and NJP'd. I'd have gotten so much fucking trouble, especially if I had pulled in like Thailand or somewhere. It'd have been over. So I'm glad I went to shore duty and got out because did not have the discipline to be in another country with alcohol at all. So
they're I don't want to say they're lenient, but they really take care of their people overseas. We had a guy throw up on the fucking the tomb that Jesus Christ himself got like when they took Jesus. I'm religious as fuck. It's funny. I'm religious as fuck, right? That's why I say when I die, God's gonna be like, man, what the fuck, man? I'm gonna let you in, but Christ, even Jesus will do this when I die, right? When Jesus got taken down from the statue, they cleaned his blood on a rock. They kept that rock preserved for thousands of years. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And then I was over there, and some fucking dude, a first class, by the way, threw up on it. I'm like, what? And there was a huge international incident. Guy didn't get in trouble. He just said he was sick. He was actually fucking hungover. But all I know is that I want to die a few minutes after that guy does. That guy going to hell. You throw up on my fucking rock, bro. Boom, you're going to hell. I'm gonna walk in. Hey, I didn't do that. Whatever. Come on, let's go, Dad. It's good.
That's probably one. Man, that guy's a fucking legend. Jesus.
Oh yeah. He's like a nice guy too. He's just like a regular guy. He just drank too much and fucking threw up on the rock.
Threw up on Jesus' rock. I don't even know what to say about that. Like, I don't know whether they get mad or be like, bro, that's a feat right there you got away with.
I'm like, hey, that is definitely a feat. You're definitely need some forgiveness. We've got to pray for that one.
So some things. Oh, go ahead.
No.
I was gonna say, you guys out there that are actually doing the resolution things, or you decide you want to change yourself, there's an exercise I was actually reading in that book when I was flying over here. about it's just it's like a meditation exercise, but you keep asking yourself these questions to get deeper into this hole to find out the root of why you're actually doing this. Like, for instance, he uses I think if I remember correctly, he used the analogy of like you pick up a spoon, you're like, okay, what is this? What does it do? Why would somebody invent this? What problem happened that caused them to discover that we needed this? And like he just deeper and deeper. So he he said, I think every take like 30, I can't remember how long he said, but he said every time pick a question and see how deep you can go with it. And just get like a quiet room. I mean, you don't have to do anything crazy. Just get a room, sit there, shut your brain off and start asking yourself these questions and think. I think people, when I read this exercise, it's like, man, people need to do this about themselves and why they choose to do certain things. Like, why am I attracted to this person? Why do I have the urge? Do I keep wanting to do this and make it a career? Like, what is it that's making me do that? And I think if you and the person helping you, the person mentoring you can figure that out, it will make this a lot better because first off, now you got trigger points. If I know deep down why you're doing something and you start falling off, I'm going to fucking trigger you so that you get back on track there. And also you start facing the problem instead of running from. A lot of people will scratch the surface. It's like a fucking jawbreaker. You quit eating it after you get past the white surface part when you know there's all kinds of fucking flavors in the middle. Actually, that's a really good fucking analogy with this is you always want to get to the center. It takes forever. But those people that get down to the little ball, they're like the fucking badass of the school bus because they finally got down to the center of the jawbreaker. Took them the whole fucking school year. But, a lot of these people don't even get past the sugary surface of it and they quit. And it's like, dude, there's a lot of shit in there that you need to realize that can change your life and get you on track. If you would just keep asking questions and getting deeper and face the pain, if it makes you fucking feel like shit, makes you cry or whatever, face it, deal with it, and then get on your goal and get on track. Because now you know really why you're doing this.
It's about going back to that dark place. All greatness starts in the darkness. I spoke about that before. I like to, I don't want to talk shit about my family. It's not what the purpose is, but I am keeping it real. My childhood, my whole upbringing always felt kind of weird. Like I was born into a split family. You know what I mean? My mom and dad weren't together. They were also young. They were 16. My mom was on the verge of abortion, but she didn't, she had me. And then it's like, my dad remarried, my mom remarried. They both started their families. I'm kind of like this, almost felt like this bastard child between them. So I always wanted to grow up to be everything I wasn't supposed to be. And that's one of my biggest whys that I have. Like, I shouldn't have gone to college. I shouldn't have done that. I should have been this bastard child that should have been ended up on drugs. Like, oh, that was that was the accident. You know what I mean? But I wanted everything to be the opposite. That's why I got my college degree, especially because I was homeless at 18. I was on the street and I really felt like I was on my fucking own for even years before that. And it was just, I don't know why I've always felt that way, but I did. I always felt like I was just kind of like, especially when you're on your own on the street, you know what I mean? Like, oh, here I am. So, you said last night, man, like, we'll look at the years and years of hard work. I fucking live in paradise. I live in Hawaii now. I got the most gorgeous girl, fiance in the world. I got points on the Olympia qualification standard. I got my bachelor's degree, and I'm always thinking about that. What's next? Because maybe I shouldn't have been given life, but I was lucky to have it. And guess what? Time is also running out. That's always a big thing in my mind too. It's not failure. You can always recover from failure. You could always recover from a loss, but loss of time, that's what's always working against you. Time is always working against you.
Yeah, I think that's the only one fear I have is time, but I try to ignore it. And I look at people like Sean Roden and Coleman that had great careers into their mid 40s. And I'm like, it's going to be okay. I've said this before, but instead of wasting time worrying about that could be time I could be spent already getting there and to where I can get there quicker. So that's how I look at it. Because by the time I'm 40, I don't want to be where I'm at now. I want to be settled ahead on somewhere a lot further along than I am. So now, shit, you said something that had me think of something. I can't fucking remember what it is now. So I actually started looking into why I've recently started doing some of the things I'm doing. Like, I'm usually pretty stubborn, but here lately I've been like, all right, let me learn how everybody does their shit and start figuring some stuff out. Like I'm buying like expensive books, listening to a lot of stuff, trying stuff that I thought would never work, but it was the only thing I haven't done. So I'm going to try it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? And, I start looking into why am I doing this? And then I finally found that. And that when you do get to the center of that fucking jawbreaker, so to speak, it will fucking change you as far as being motivated. And because now you know why. So whenever you feel like you're going to fall back, you just trigger those emotions of how that feels that you dead. Yeah. Like I literally will trigger the shit that I don't want to feel again, just to remind myself how bad that shit fucking hurts. And you got to fix it because I'm not going to stop until I do. But I had to find out what it was I wanted to stop. It's just like I kept doing like, no matter what, why do I keep fucking going back to this? Anybody else would have said, I'm good. I have talent in other things. I can do other stuff. Why this? And then, I found it. Okay. So that's what I've got to fix. It's like you got to figure out what you got to do so you can jump to the next, so you can fucking leap to the next place, right? Fucking goddamn, what's his name in the show? I can't remember his name in the show. Quantum Leap.
Quantum Leap, never seen it.
What the fuck? Are you kidding me? Dude, you got to watch that. It's a really good show. So you got to it's
what's
pretty,
it on?
Huh?
What streaming is on?
You gotta look at it. It's old. It doesn't come out. It's been out. I think it's been over since early 90s. It was the late 80s, early 90s show.
Oh, okay. I probably like it then. You remember the show The Hitchhiker?
I've heard of it.
Bro, for some reason it popped in my head the other day. And I remember just the guy walking in the desert with his thumbs up.
Yeah,
like,
I remember.
The Hitchhiker. And I'm like, oh shit. I remember watching that when I was like 4 or 5. And YouTube, it's all on YouTube. I'm like, I'm watching it, and Amanda made me change it. But I was like, what are you watching? I'm like, The Hitchhiker, some shows on Lifetime in the fucking 80s.
Yeah, dude, look up Quantum Leap. It's really good because it's this Navy program where they learn how to jump through time, but you have to be in somebody else's body. So he jumps to different eras and like they'll see him as who he's taking the place of, but he sees him as himself. So like there's episodes where he jumps into 40s as like a black guy. So he starts living racism, even though he's a white dude. There's something he's supposed to fix in each area. And once he fixes it, he leaps to the next era in time.
Huh.
And the only catch is he can only leap in the time frame that I think either he was alive or his family's alive or some shit. So he can only go back and forward so far. And dude, it's like you think it's kind of weird, but it's like one of those that once you watch, you just keep episode after episode. You just do not stop watching it.
Yeah, I'll find it. Actually,
dude, there's an episode where he jumps to an enlisted sailor that just got back from the war, and he I think it's either World War II or Vietnam, but he brings home an Asian girl or some shit, and like everybody's like fucking giving him shit about it. It's pretty because, of course, me being me, when I see the uniform, I'm like, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. But he comes back as a sailor that just got back from deployment, and I think he brings home an Asian girl or some shit like that, and the family starts giving him shit because of what's going on at the time. So
yeah.
You see, it's pretty interesting shit, man. It's a good show. You would really like it.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out. So that definitely sounds like something down my alley for sure.
Yeah, it's I don't think it was really popular. So, but I think there's a lot of good. That's one of those shows where there's a lot of good life lessons about that to be learned in there. A lot of sci-fi movies, those shows do that. What else you got for people who have these resolutions before we call it a day? I got to go train my legs.
So do I. Maybe my New Year's resolution is people is to keep it. I would tell people is to keep it small. Like I think my thing works great. It's a great system. Every year, something small you can do and just make it a habit. And over the years, those little things will pay off in the long run. Flossing, cleaning the kitchen every single night before you go to sleep. I used to never do that. I used to just leave my protein around the table because I'm going to need it in the morning. But there's a special feeling now when I wake up and you just see everything put away, clean. It's like, okay, I actually like this. So you take it, and then it's just 10 minutes. You start planning that 10 minutes beforehand. I got to go to bed, take my protein shake, clean up real quick, boom, done. So do small things, make those small things a habit, and then, just let them happen.
There, everybody's got some sort of, I actually did a video on this a couple of days ago on my channel. Everybody's got a purpose or a long-term goal or something. So like Dib said, make the New Year's resolution a small one and make it one of the small ones that add up to that. Like for me, being in the career I'm at, and I actually started doing this before, but even if I don't agree with the methods or techniques, I will still learn it to see if there's something I can take from it. Like I bought a book on somatypes and read that, and I was like, there's maybe one or two things I can take out of this, but I'm thinking it's bullshit. Yeah. And then I bought another book. I'm going through, and we'll start going through it tonight. And it's like, I want to aggressively acquire as much fucking knowledge as humanly possible and start applying this, because this time next year, I don't want to look the same. I get tired of looking the same. I get tired of spending the same amount of time to get to the same place. Like, I don't know, for at least for a short period of time, I always wanted to walk into a room and people like shit their pants because they're fucking terrified, just because I'm that fucking big. Ever since I was a kid, I've been fascinated with how in the fuck can I walk in and just people piss their pants without even just because like, what the fuck is that? That's what I want people to do. So I just like, okay, well, I've learned as much as I can with this. So I need to start looking elsewhere to other people and absorbing what they know. And just, you may spend a long time learning the strategies just to take one or two things, but those one or two things could finish the puzzle.
Yeah.
So, and if you can't afford the books and stuff, dude, go to these people's podcasts and listen, because they're going to slip up and say shit that you can decipher and figure out how they do their stuff.
Yep.
That's absolutely, that's how I started. And I was like, oh, this guy's got a book. And I went, I was like, that's expensive, but fuck it. I'd rather spend it on this. And I bought it. And I go through that. And this one guy, his app, I got the lifetime membership. It was like $150. And I went through every fucking tutorial educational video he had on everything from how to cook your food to the fucking supplements to everything. And I wrote everything down. And I was like, okay, there's a lot of this shit I actually want to try. So and found out that guy did the same thing. He learned and spent time with like Milo, Scott Stevenson, and took a lot of their stuff and made it his own. So I'm like, well, fuck, that's what I'm doing now. So I'm eventually on the right.
Oh, yeah. Everybody does that. Fucking, we don't steal each other's shit. We share each other's information. No. And, you find somewhere in the middle that works for you.
Dude, I got JP's app, Palumbo's app. I just bought a couple of books from other guys, and I'm just like going through, and I've got a huge where I write down all this shit and put it together. And the nerd in me gets satisfied like that because I like doing that shit anyway. So, and honestly, some of the shit Chris Aceto, his Everything Know About Fat Loss, that was the first one I picked up years ago. That one and Dan Duchesne's Body Opus. And Dan Duchesne's an extreme motherfucker. But Chris Aceto's book has a lot more stuff that I use than I thought I would. It filled a lot of gaps in my shit. And so when I did that, I was like, okay, well, there's got to be more. So it just snowballed in a good way. So you guys need to get that type of mentality. Like, okay, I want to be a rock star. Okay, well, you got to pick up the fucking guitar first. You got to learn how to play that. And you got to learn your pentatonic scales first before you can write sick-ass George Lynch solos. Like, you takes baby steps.
You can't put a price on education at the end of the day.
No, you cannot. That is, in fact, I'm trying to get the goddamn military to voc rehab my ass back to nutrition school so I can go somewhere and learn and get a degree so I can quit getting re-fucking certed on some bullshit every 3 years.
You ever see the movie Back to School, Rodney Dangerfield?
No, but that would probably be me if I went back. Oh, yeah, I have seen that movie, actually.
Yeah, that's going to be the Navy's sending me to a personal training school. I'm going to be sitting there in class like, what about this? Oh, no, we're not that part. Okay, well, I'm just trying to help. Oh, now you got this all wrong. You got to go here.
What was the special dive he did where he went off like every fucking diving board?
The triple Lindy.
Yeah. God damn.
What are they going to do? They're going to flunk you. Flunk me. Flunk him.
Shit. All right, man. I'll see you. I'm going to go train my legs. I'll see you next week.
Dude, later, brother. Take it easy, guys.
See y'all later.